You know what? I wanted you to replace them too.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
replaced a few pieces here. So
they're really worn out and just falling apart and just changing color and stuff. I'm like, it's kind of gross, man. And he's like, no, I want the mojo. I want to be a better DJ.
I'm going to put on my head. I'm going to be a pro right away. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Clever DJ. My name is Ilia.
And my name is Nino. Welcome back, everybody. We're excited for this episode.
We are on episode number 4.
Yes, sir.
Almost the end of the month. One more episode to go after this. We're getting there. This is turning out to be quite a bit of fun. So, today we're going to just... add on to what we spoke about last episode. Last episode was more about how to get into DJing and what you need at home just to get started, just to get into the craft.
Yes.
And now it's going to be what you need to actually go out there and go to a gig for a client, whether it's at a club, outdoors, indoors, wedding, bar.
Yeah. So don't be afraid. This is a big leap in your career, right? But
very big,
right? And there's a lot to be afraid of, but you just got to do it if you want to get better too, right?
That's what you always told me.
Yes, exactly.
It took me a while to listen to you. Mm-hmm. Well, it was terrifying because the thing is, I didn't feel ready, and you'll never feel ready until you go and do it, and you will make mistakes. But if you really want it, you will make sure you don't mess up too much and you fix it before it's just, there's no coming back from it.
That's the thing.
You just have to.
You're going to get better while you do it, right? And then that's the thing too. You don't want to start off with really big gigs. You want to do family stuff and mobile stuff too as well. You want to stick with that stuff. Yeah, and
I honestly feel like the mistakes I made in the beginning, they were, they're not very small mistakes, but at the same time, they didn't care that much because I focused on other things. I focused on my customer service. I focused on, making sure they don't notice it or something like that. But they wouldn't anyway.
They're not gonna
unless you notice it.
Unless you make it so noticeable for them. Right?
Unless you kind of full tilt. You're like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Bro, yeah, they're not going to notice it. Only you do, right? And that's up to you to keep a straight face and just stay professional. You don't want to make it seem so thing.
So whether they do or don't notice, don't make it worse by kind of like getting into your own head and just not being able to continue, kind of ruining your mood and stuff. But that really helped. Getting out there.
Yep.
And it didn't take 3 or 4 or 6 gigs for me to notice it. After the first gig, what did I tell you? Oh, this was so different. This was...
I know.
Do you remember the texts?
I do.
At 1 or 2 a.m.?
I do. This guy, right after his gig, he'd text me and update me on it was amazing. Oh my God, I learned so much. I'm like, I know.
And you're like, what did I tell you? Yes, you're always right.
I'm always right.
So this is a transition from DJing at home or just, for fun, wherever you are, and then actually professionally, if you can use that word for your first gig, DJing for a client.
Yes. Whether it be a mobile gig or even a club gig, right? So we're going to cover both ends.
Yeah. So... how to not mess up your first DJ gig in public, wherever it may be.
Show up.
Yeah, show up. But I guess let's start from the gear, like the stuff that you need to know that you'll have to invest into, because now you're stepping up to the big league. Now you're not just DJing at home on your computer speakers or some cheap headphones. You need to have better gear so you'll be able to have stuff to support your experience, so you'll be able to.
You're not gonna bring your monitor speakers to a gig, honestly, right? You're gonna bring professional
PA speakers.
PA speakers. So good for how many people are going to be there, like 100 or 50, right? They have to be able to be amplified for that amount of people. So
yeah, and sound proper. The quality has to be there.
Yes.
And the headphones, I mean, if you have really lousy headphones, it'll be hard for you to, and I started like that. I thought my headphones were great, but I did not invest in a really good pair, and it just it made it harder for me to listen to music and monitor what I'm doing. And it's very important, right? Unless you're just like preparing a mix and you're faking it, which you should never do.
So you heard a difference, right, in headphones?
Big time. Right. So he actually gave me these. How many did you have?
I have 3, so I gave you one of them.
Yeah. I always said, okay, I can still feel how much you sweat in them.
I gave him his mojo. I gave my mojo.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I got the DJ mojo. No, but I did have to. I didn't have to, but I chose to replace the.
You know what? I wanted you to replace them too. It's like,
I replaced a few pieces here. So
they're really worn out and just falling apart and just changing color and stuff. I'm like, it's kind of gross, man. And he's like, no, I want the mojo. I want to be a better DJ.
I'm gonna put on my head. I'm gonna be a pro right away. But like you don't have to go for, the gimmick beats or anything that really like costs a lot of money,
like what we have. But there are inexpensive options out there that are really, really good.
Yeah, and we're gonna list it all. Like we said, you can check out the website, check out the social media posts, everything that we're talking about, and maybe we didn't get enough in detail, didn't go enough in detail. Then we're gonna have that in the form of text, so you can actually find what we're talking about, be able to locate those products.
Yes, sir.
And learn more about what we were talking about. So it's not too vague, right?
So what else do we need?
So PA speakers, number one. Don't skim on those. Don't be cheap when it comes to PA speakers. Because here's the thing. I had several options. I could go for something that was like $300-400 on Amazon, or even anywhere else. I could find cheap ones. Some people swore by them. I listened to them. They don't sound good. It's very like muddy. Like
there's a difference between cheap speakers and quality speakers, right? And they're not really that expensive as well, but
it's an investment, right?
It is. It is. If you're going to take this seriously, you want to invest something good instead of replacing it every other year because it breaks down. Right.
Yeah. So I invested I think they cost $729 or something. Yeah, it's been like flying in front of you for like there's like a link to something flying in front of you for like a minute and a half. There's another one right there. There you go.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, there were $729 plus tax or something like that, or after tax. Plus tax.
Plus taxes on top of that.
It was about $1,600, just over $1,600. So that pair that I bought was cheaper than one speaker that I wanted to get. I wanted to get a pair of those.
A Parasaurus.
So unnecessary.
No.
So they're amazing speakers, and one day I will get them. Yeah. But right now I'm using the Yorkville YXL 15 powered speakers.
Yeah, and you had the choice to do it the 12 as well, right? But I just suggested that you get the 15, so you have that more headroom for just in case you have to do bigger events. Right?
Yeah, and also something that I never even experienced before, and I remember like noticing it at your gig.
Yeah,
I'm like, what's going on with the sound? Like, I feel like it's getting quieter.
It is, yeah.
And you told me it's like speaker fatigue. It's like it's you gotta keep raising the volume because the speakers are just being pushed too far. So. Again, more headroom, gives yourself more flexibility, and it sounds better.
It does.
Not that much heavier. They look more impressive. Lots of times clients will hire you because you have more impressive gear, bigger speakers, like a nicer control. They think you're better because you have nicer stuff. But I feel like if you are in Canada and you don't want to spend too much on speakers, but you want something that's going to last for a long time, and has great warranty and just sounds amazing, get the YXL line, either the 12s or the 15s. I think if you invest a couple $100s in the 15s, you'll never regret it.
Nope.
Now, if you're a pro DJ, you don't really need my advice or his advice. Really, you know what to get. But I mean, the Parasaurus. I mean,
Parasaurus is crazy. It's
and then there's the Elite, right?
The Elite's even higher than the Parasaurus.
I never heard them.
Yeah, they're great. They're amazing.
Is there a real difference between the Elites and the Parasaurus? Can you hear
just
it?
the processing it's just better. Leagues beyond. It's like the difference between the Parasaurus and the YXL 15s too as well.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, that's another topic we'll talk about in future videos. There's gear stuff, right?
Yeah, I can't get enough of that stuff.
Of course.
Microphone. Okay, that's important.
We don't expect you to get like $1,000 wireless microphones. All you need is a wired microphone, like a Shure SM58 or what? Which one do you have? The Sennheiser?
I have the Sennheiser, I think 835 something.
35. Yeah, that's good enough, right? So
and it's great, but I'm at the stage where I'm like, I can't do wired anymore because they yank on my gear when they forget that it's wired, and I'm like, give me my controller back.
It's true,
and it's just so many other things that you don't want to can happen when it's wired versus wireless. And I was like, let me see if I can even get any gigs. And when I realized I'm getting them back to back, I'm like, okay, makes sense. Let's invest into something important like a microphone.
Yep.
How much did you say it was, the ones that you're using?
1,400
for two.
Those ones are just under $1,000. I had Sennheisers, I think XSW 835s to be exact. But then again, they're good microphones, but for weddings and stuff, just in case you need two, one for toast and one for yourself.
Yeah, which right now don't really.
Right now, you don't really need it right now. So just stick with a wired microphone for now.
Or
right?
like, would you go for a cheaper wireless one?
No, because a cheaper wireless one, it's more
Not reliable.
Yeah, they're not reliable. The hardwired ones are a lot more reliable. If you're gonna get wireless, you might as well go expensive.
So I think personally, I can afford a wireless setup, but I still feel like it's more luxury than a need. But I would love to have the luxury of not worrying about my entire gear just jumping forward off my desk, off my table, right? But then again, if you want to avoid that, just get a really long YXL cord.
Exactly.
XLR cord, YXL. Yeah. So that's what I did. I got them like a 50-footer and they're fine. But then again, they can trip on it. So if you can afford a wireless mic, do it.
Again, it's within your budget. So
right, because we're trying to focus on the beginner DJ right now. So we understand if you can't really drop $800 to $1,400 on a microphone. Again, that's all in Canadian dollars, wherever you guys are watching from. Lights.
And with lights, all you need literally is a par light or something, just something so that people aren't dancing in the dark, literally. Right?
Yeah.
Something inexpensive, just to start off with.
You know what I did?
Yes, I do.
So I was trying to save money, and instead of going for that impressive light setup that you have, what is it called when you have them all like in a line like that?
Oh, the gig bar.
Yeah, the gig bar.
The gig bar.
And I always liked them because it was such an easy, like 1, 2, 3, done, set up.
Yes.
But they're like, how much? Like $1,000?
Yeah, the one I bought was just under 1,000, and then there's a Chauvet gig bar Move as well. That's almost like 13.
Oh, it has 14. The moving heads.
The moving heads, yeah.
The smaller ones.
The smaller ones, but they're
nice.
They're nice, very nice, very nice.
So I thought to myself, hey, let's hack it. Let's make something like that for cheaper. I buy 4 par lights, cheaper ones, not the cheapest, but cheaper ones. Like plasticky, right? But I've seen pros use them too when they have to use like 20 of them. This guy does use like 20 of them, but they're all expensive.
But honestly, I've done that too when I first started out.
Yeah.
So I told you, like, oh no, it's not a good idea. Trust me. And then
I buy a T-bar for like, I don't know, like $60 or $70 on Amazon. I'm like excited. Yeah, this is a smart idea. I get the 4 lights. I could have got one for 8 with 6 like spots for lights. It's good I didn't do that. Then I got the the cables. What are they called?
The DMX cables.
What's DMC then?
DMC, that's DJ competition.
Oh, right. Yeah, beginner, pro. But I do remember there was a different letter on at the end of it when they were like on the back of the package.
Yeah?
Yeah, it did say something else. It said DMX and it said something else. I'm pretty sure it said DMC too. And I was like, isn't that the competition?
Yeah.
I do remember. You know what? I think I saved it. If I did save it, I'm going to upload that,
Okay.
box. But I had to get those lights too, so I can actually sync them. I mean, the cables, I could sync the lights together. So now there's 4 lights with cables hanging off of them.
Because you have your power cables as well. And then the DMX.
No, I'm not even getting to the power cables yet. I'm talking about the DMX cables. They're all like hanging out like this, like, you know.
I didn't even do that in the beginning. I didn't even DMX it.
And then I had the power cable. And in order to actually be able to reach like the ground, because all power cables are really short, like for that application, I had to get like some elaborate one from Amazon that also clamps onto the T-bar. It's insane. I'm gonna actually, I should upload it. I should upload my light setup.
You still have them.
I still have them. I still use it.
Yeah.
It's not bad if you actually take the time to set it up correctly.
But that's the thing. It takes you an extra 15, 20 minutes to set up, man.
And now I can do it a little quicker, but like what? Like 2 minutes quicker, 4 minutes quicker. It still takes time and it's frustrating. So it's like cable management for a computer, but harder.
That's the thing. There's lots of cables hanging off, so it's hard to keep it clean too, right?
Yeah. So usually it's far in the corner. Nobody will see it, but still, like, you know, you do your own social media and you're like, do I want to pass by the lights?
And you're so OCD too that you notice that. It has to be perfect for you.
So I make sure I set them up nicely. But again, the reason why I didn't go, you know, the extra step and spend extra like $100 because there was no other option. There was either this for about $300 and I had some Amazon credits too, so it was almost free for me to build this. Or was that actually everything? I feel like there were more parts to it, but anyway, it's very like it's too much. So it was either this,
don't do what he did,
or spending like $600 or $800. Yeah. So then I find something else.
The Dragon Bar,
that
had power lights is 4, and then it's already pre-made like the gig bar,
and it has the pedal, and then the remote control.
You don't have to have like separate power cords and stuff. You just had one.
Yeah, and it's all within the actual, encased within the metal and everything. So it's just that when I was purchasing it for the first few gigs, that was not available. It was unavailable on Amazon. And I'm like, I wonder how much it costs, because when it's unavailable, someone has it for like $10,000 because they know nobody else will be able to find it. But then it came up as what, $300 or $400? $400.
Yeah, $400. But now it's raised down price because of COVID and
it's more expensive
it's
now?
Inflation. Yeah, it is more. I think it's like $500-600 now.
No, it's not.
It is. Don't check it now.
No, it's not.
What are you doing? It is. Trust me. I checked it. But yeah, don't do as.
No, it's not.
It is.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I gotta check it.
Not now. Hey, get out of here. Let's go.
I gotta check.
So lights. Yeah, exactly. I told this guy that not to do that because I did the same thing. Right. So he didn't follow me. And again, he did things the hard way. The hard way. This guy's actually checking that. I don't know if it's on there anymore.
Oh my God, I can't find it. No, wait. Dragon X.
Oh.
Yeah, $300.
Oh,
you're trying to like.
When I found it, it was like $6.
You don't know how to look.
Okay, I don't know how to look on Amazon.
There's so many options, but that's the thing. Like you actually have to. You actually have to really think about, is this piece of gear worth it for you? Yes, it will be cool to have, but if you're gonna save money, is the saving money really ruining the experience of using that gear? So I should have just waited for a little bit, use the power lights, like on the floor, or maybe like, I have that I have those attachments for my tower, my speakers, the tripods. I could put it on the tripod, right? I could do that, but no, I needed to have my gig bar, right? So again, another rookie mistake. So it's stuff that I
figured out the hard way. I did it, and I told him not to do it, but he still did it. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
You have to.
I like using it, but oh my God, it's so much work, man.
It is.
Luckily, I barely paid anything for it. But if you were to pay for it, it would cost you at least $250 after taxes.
Fair is still inexpensive.
Yeah. But like as much stuff as you have to go through to set it up,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not. Trust me.
Unless you really will never be able to afford something that's a couple $100 more, which I'm sure you will be able to afford.
Okay.
So that's lights. And then a laptop stand. So we said last episode that it's not a must, but...
Because you're just doing it at home anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, when you're out at a gig, you have to look proper. So you do need a laptop stand now.
And also it's going to break your back if you're like hunched over the table, kind of like not able to kind of stand straight comfortably, right? Also raising your controller. Sometimes the desks are too low. Raise the controller, because if you're hunched the whole night, you're going to feel it.
You're going to feel it, especially at the end of the night when you want to go home and you're packing up stuff. You're going to my
Suddenly.
back. Yeah, so... laptop stand, very important.
Yes. Now, what else? Okay, so I wrote it down. Be prepared to use different gear in certain situations. So that's, I guess, when it comes to clubs.
Well, when it comes
bars.
to clubs, you want to already visit the club that you're gonna possibly do gigs at. So if you're gonna do a club, you already know what kind of equipment they're gonna have, like CDJs or techniques. You're gonna familiarize with that equipment before you actually get to do your first gig, right? So that's in terms of clubs.
Yeah, so just know that the fact that you learn how to use your FLX4 or Rev 1 or whatever gear you have at home, like it doesn't mean that now you can go and DJ anywhere you want because you got your gear with you. They might not let you use it there.
If you can, bring it, but of course,
or
you have to use their stuff.
Yeah, you'll have to sometimes, and sometimes there's just no time. If you can figure it out, go ahead, but there's no time. You got to switch really quickly.
Yeah.
And now that's important. Prepare for every situation, like weather, cables, backup gear.
Always have extra stuff.
I learned that from you.
Yeah, you need to bring extra stuff like extra XLR cables. You never know how far your speakers need to be from your actual setup, right?
Yeah. Unless you scope the place ahead of time. But when you have 300, 400 gigs a year.
And then if the actual gig is like 2 hours away, I'm sure you're not gonna go visit it too, right? Beforehand.
Yeah, right, so unless you just know how that, and sometimes you're like, oh, I know how the place is set up. Like I already,
if you've already
know
been there.
That's how it's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But that's somebody who's experienced versus someone who, is doing it for the first time. Mm-hmm. Now, it's extremely important to actually bring extra cables and a backup laptop if you can afford it. Or if not a laptop, then some music player like an iPod or something with, you said, like a ready mix, just in case if everything goes wrong.
Just in case something happens to your laptop or your controller, that you can play something through your, even the back of your speaker. Just hook up a 1/4-inch cable, not a 1/4-inch, 1/8 inch headphone jack to your cable, and then you're ready to go. You can actually troubleshoot the problem while you're playing something. At least you're playing something, right? And it's not dead air, which is our enemy. Dead air. We can't do with dead air.
Yeah, and we're not telling you, hey, bring a ready mix, because that's the way to go. It's just while you're fixing it, so there's no dead air.
Yeah, and pre-mix, don't do somebody else's mix. Make sure that you do the mix yourself.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. A backup controller. So a lot of us started with a cheaper controller and then bought a nicer one, right? So bring that cheaper one. Have it with you. It's not going to cost you anything carrying it with you just in case. Leave it in the car.
Yeah, leave it in the car. Sometimes there's those new Mark ones ready to go.
Oh yeah,
the small ones.
Tiny ones.
Yeah, and they work like literally. They work just as good as a bigger controller, just with less features.
I remember you wanted to do a whole gig just with that one, just to show that you could still use them just as fine.
I did, and I was on a balcony and I actually used it. Nobody knew anything different than if I was using pro gear. Right?
Yeah.
So,
backup SSD. All your music. Something could go wrong. Anything could go wrong. Bring a backup SSD or hard drive. Just another form of, your music bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Because maybe just something with the music went wrong, right? And not with the actual software or hardware. Be prepared to play some or all the music you don't usually listen to or know very well. That's also very important.
This is more for mobile DJing, event DJing, because you never know who your crowd is going to be. So prepare other genres, playlists, other than what you play personally, right? So be prepared for anything, any situation.
Yeah, but normally as a first timer, when you go to your first gig, you're probably going to pick something within your
realm of DJing, right? So you're more comfortable that way.
Which I didn't at all.
Yeah. That is tougher that way. And I recommend it that way. So it's harder to impress a client if you're not familiar with it, right? If you're familiar with the actual genres, there's a good chance that you'll get rehired for another gig, or even somebody from the crowd would rehire you too, right? If you do a good job.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the first pointers. Now, let's say the gig is coming up. You're a week ahead from the gig, and you still have some time to buy things. Maybe you're missing something and you don't know. Set up as if you set up at the gig, as close as possible to that before the gig. 5 to 7 days before, just make sure you have everything. Everything works together. You know how to set it up.
Set it up at home. Make sure that it all works. So you don't have any surprises at your gig, because you're going to be fiddling around with it if you don't know how to set it up. So make sure you can set up everything, the speakers, how it's going to look and present. Of course, it's going to be different at the actual event and at gig, but just so you don't waste time.
Make sure that your gear is actually working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and that all the settings are right, all that stuff that you will not realize that it takes much longer to do on the spot when you're there with a client. Now, that's something we spoke about before, and you told me that you normally wouldn't do this, but I like to come with separate bags for each thing. So my certain cables will be in one bag, like my power cords, like all the utility stuff will be in another bag, the tape and everything else will be in another bag. And it's easier for me because it saves me so much time knowing where everything is.
Yeah.
But pretty much, what did you say? Itemizing?
Yeah, no, just itemize everything that you have. You don't have to put it in separate bags. You just have it in one bag so you have less stuff to bring. Just as long as you have everything and you set it up beforehand, you know how it's going to work and everything, right? So it saves you, hopefully, time when you're actually at the gig.
Separate bags.
No, don't.
It's so much better.
Okay, it works for you. It works for you. Doesn't mean it's gonna work for everybody.
It'll work for you too. Separate bags. Separatebags.com. Separatebags.com. No, but for real, like I saw this really nice bag on Amazon. I love Amazon. And it has like room for everything. It's a big bag. So you can get two of those maybe if you have a lot of gear like this guy. But it had a slot for everything. So fine, if you have something like that, great. But we're talking about a beginner DJ, someone like myself who took a suitcase, a fitness bag, and what else did I take? And another suitcase on wheels. Like you couldn't really tell it was a suitcase because it's a different kind of suitcase. But
just make sure you bring everything that you need.
Separate bags. Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you can find your stuff quickly, because I remember the first couple gigs I was thinking that, I organized everything. It was organized enough for my, at home gig when I'm not rushing, but it was not organized enough to set up quickly, like on the spot.
And it does save you time. The more that you do it, the faster you'll get at your setup, right?
Yeah.
If you do it for the first time, don't expect it to be done in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's gonna take you half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. So
Maybe even two.
Maybe even two, right?
It took me. I was ready, but. Like I could have been ready. I wasn't ready. I could have been ready, but I did everything I did. I checked 6-7 times. Like, is this right? Is this the right angle? Is that the right cable? And you know what? It will happen on your first gig, unless maybe you have AV experience. You're a professional producer. You've worked with this kind of gear before. If you've never done this, it'll take you longer.
That's just the nature of the beast. It'll take you longer the first time, couple of times, right? Until you get your groove.
Yes, and then after you checked everything's working great. Whatever you already know that it's you've checked it and you're not gonna check it again. Take that stuff and load it into your car. If it's a day or two before the gig, load it ahead of time. Preload your car, your vehicle.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, makes sense.
It's gonna save you a lot of time the day off.
Yeah, it's true.
Unless you're traveling very light, which I'm not. Definitely this guy isn't.
Unless it's minus 20 degrees outside, you don't want to keep your gear out in the car.
Oh, I'm in a condo, so it's easier because my underground garage is.
That makes sense. But if your your vehicle is outside, I wouldn't recommend it.
Just put it by the door. Set it up to be taken.
Yeah.
Quickly without having to dismantle everything and put it all in the bag and whatever, right? So it's just be organized, because the day of the gig, your first gig, you'll be freaking out, likely. And familiarize yourself with your playlist. That's something you always tell me to do. And yeah.
Well, the more you practice with your stuff, especially if you know it, right? And it's good to have mini set lists.
Yeah.
While you're doing it, and you'll get better. You'll get to know which songs go with which songs a lot better, which sounds better to the ear, is more pleasing to the ear, right? So
yeah, stuff that really works for you. Those 3 tracks, I always mix them together.
Yeah,
and when you need something ready because you're not sure what to do next, well, those 3 tracks right there, that's like 6 minutes approximately, maybe 5 minutes of music you can play, and then.
Exactly. And for clubs, you're going to be sticking to certain genres anyway, right? So I'm
not going to talk about clubs myself because I have no experience with that. But I used to think that maybe playing at a club would be easier than doing a wedding. But now when I'm thinking about it, it sounds more complicated.
It's a little more complicated than just playing the genre of music, man. These days promoters and club owners want really professional club DJs that can mix, not just mixing regularly, beat matching, right? Different
something impressive,
creative mixing and really impressive stuff.
Which brings us to the next point, getting to the gig. So first point, before anything else, come early.
Always.
And I even left a little note here. Explain how long it took me to set up the first time.
Which you already kind of did already.
So
always come early because you never know what's going to come up, right? You might have maybe forgotten a chord or the layout is a little different and you have to put speakers in another place. So just, you have to have that little buffer for you to get your gig straight.
Maybe somebody wants to talk to you about something and you don't want to be rude and tell them you don't have time to talk to them.
Exactly.
So just come there early. And then know everyone's names and titles. Like if you're going to a wedding, know the bride and the groom.
Of course.
The parents.
The coordinator.
The coordinator is very important. Do not upset the coordinator.
The manager of the banquet manager.
So at a wedding, you could burn a lot of bridges if you don't come prepared. So just know who everyone is. Otherwise, it's very unprofessional. And then when setting up, that's something that took me a little while to kind of hone. But when setting up, remain focused and do the social media after the sound check. Like, first set everything up, do your DJ duties first, then you can walk around, phone calls, social media, stuff like that. Don't be overly confident, thinking that everything is already okay. Like you're here early, set it up. Things can go wrong,
especially because you're a beginner. Things are gonna take longer, so you don't want to do social media right away. And it leads into the next point, right?
Yeah, focus on being the DJ and not the guest.
Yes, exactly.
Which is. Sure, there's lots of delicious food, amazing music. You want to dance to it. Maybe you want to eat. You want to drink.
Well, you can dance to it when you're playing it, and you should, because you wanna whatever energy you're giving out there, giving back, right? So
I meant like how some DJs invite themselves to the dance floor with the. With the guests, which sometimes they will welcome.
Cool. Yeah.
But remember how we spoke about it? You need to feel the crowd.
Yep.
Do they want you to be a part of that celebration, or do they want you behind the booth?
It all depends on the crowd too. Some crowds are a little bit more snobbier. Some are more welcoming and will just get excited when you actually get out and dance with them too, right?
Different people, right? So some will appreciate, some won't. Like that other gig when the older Italian lady was almost yelling at us for not, and in Italian,
for not playing her song. Yes.
Specific Italian, like old Italian music, right?
Yeah.
I forget what it was called, and then I would go back to her and calm her down because she was visibly upset and she was in her like 80s or something, right?
Yeah.
And I asked her, what song is that? So the whole table started translating to me and telling me where to find it, right? I end up finding the song. I give it to you, right?
Because I was DJing at the time and I couldn't really deal with that. So he was deflecting this old lady.
Pretty much making sure that she's okay, but also does not keep bothering him, right?
Yeah.
And I got the song. I prepared it on my setup. And then when he was done, I switched to it and I started performing. But then I had a little bit of time. I knew that song will be playing for about 3 minutes. There's no way I'm going to cut it short. Not after, all of her requests.
Because she wanted that song and to the fullest too. So you want to hear the whole song.
It literally played until the silence came on because we wanted to make sure she was happy.
Yeah.
And I went up there and we started dancing.
Yeah, we
danced
out in
for
the crowd.
2 minutes.
It was great. They loved it. They loved it.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then when we played all the a bit more modern music, I started singing with them and dancing with them. That crowd just loved it.
Yeah. And there you have those are great crowds, right?
The next one might not appreciate it. They'll be like, "Can you not take over?" So just be the DJ first. Kind of scan the room, and if you really have that skill where you can tell, you can kind of see through the person and understand what they want, and you can take that risk, right? It might be very rewarding. They might really love it, right? Oh, that's important. You taught me that. Payment up front.
Yeah, you would want to get payment up front, whether it be e-transfer or even getting paid right before you set up. And that's the thing with clients paying cash, you want to be paid before you set up because you never know. Late at night when they're partying, they're all drunk and you can't go up to them and they're going to forget and yada yada. They're going to have excuses and you can't blame them, right? They're drunk, right?
Yeah.
They want to have a good time. They don't want you nagging them at the end of the night for payment. So you got to make sure you get paid up front. And even for club DJs, it's really hard to get payment up front.
Yeah, you were telling me how you had to deal with the promoter.
Yeah, some promoters. A lot of the promoters are the ones that are paying you. So I had to deal with a certain club that I played, and I had to trust them. And so they would pay me 2 weeks, 3 weeks here, but I'd still have remaining balance with them. So, and then there was one time that they got robbed. And then they literally closed down, and I was like,
"Closed shop and disappeared."
Like, what happened to my payment? You still owe me literally almost $2,000. I'm like, sorry. I'm like, jeez. Yeah, it happens.
It was way more than 1,500.
Yeah. Downplaying it, but yeah, it sucks.
You are downplaying it,
bro.
But that's the thing. It's make sure you get paid ahead of time for whatever reason that is. But also remember, talking about money kind of makes people nervous, and don't do it in a classy way. You know, explain it almost like you apologize for asking ahead of time, but say, listen, you know, in this industry, we usually get paid ahead of time before we set up to make sure everything is done.
You want to get it out of the way so everybody can just have a good time. That's it, right? It's a formality. You have to.
I don't want to come and bother you right before you go to.
Exactly, and you can tell the clients that too.
Yeah,
right?
Leave for your honeymoon.
They will totally understand.
Because that's what they're thinking about in the end of the gig. They all talk about where they're going next and their plans and how they're going to leave for their honeymoon and all the experiences they're going to have.
Exactly.
And can you give me my money?
It's so tacky too.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting at them. Hey, pay me. I'm like, I just don't like that situation at all.
Yeah.
And I've been in that situation a number of times.
Definitely. And it also can lead to a worse review or a terrible review, right? Because everything was great and now that one thing messed everything up, that one interaction. So get paid ahead of time. It's going to save a lot of problems for everyone. Now, some good things to remember. Something extremely important, in my opinion, thinking about my Christmas gig, my Christmas corporate gig, just a few weeks ago. Bring a friend who will support you and help you set up, and also take pictures, videos for social media and stuff like that. Give people your business card, your Instagram handle and stuff like that. But specifically, first and foremost, help you set up, because I was downtown Toronto and I had to make sure my stuff does not get stolen when I had to go from the car to the door. And there are some areas where just impossible
Downtown
to even
Toronto's the worst, man.
get the stuff out of the car.
Yeah.
It was like I was about to scratch my car, scratch this, drop that.
And you don't want to leave your equipment unattended.
Yeah,
in the first
and it
place.
was a sketchy area too.
It is, yeah.
Right. So it was a great client and everything, but there are some places downtown Toronto or maybe New York City, I don't know, wherever you are, you don't want to leave that stuff unattended. And also it's hard. The doors were much narrower. It was almost impossible to enter the elevator, and I was almost dropping all my gear, and it would have been so much easier if I had somebody come with me. And it was more of a need rather than a want for that type of gig. But then I also had to focus on taking my own videos, giving my own business cards while people were asking me for them. And it would have been nice if I could just focus on the gig rather than do all of that stuff, right? Because for one of my first gigs, it was really hard to do all that stuff all together.
Well, it's nice just to have company too, and your friend or the supporter will help you bring stuff in, watch stuff for you. It's very important sometimes for certain gigs, right?
Yeah,
always beneficial to have someone come with you.
Definitely. And then don't forget, network with the right people, but also know when to stop, because sometimes you could go overboard. So feel the room and remember that coordinator can get you more gigs. That coordinator can recommend you to other venues. The manager can ask you to become one of the in-house DJs, right? Make a good impression and network with these people. Just know also when to not push them too hard.
Yeah, you can't push them at all. Yeah. You have to just make a good impression on them. Honestly, be on time, set up fast, tear down fast, kill your sets, make the client happy. In turn, you're making them happy as well.
Do you remember that one time, the gig up north, how they were raving about how quickly we set up?
Northridge, yes. They love us there. You did a really good job helping me set up really fast too. They love that. They love that because in and out, right? And
they kept talking about it, right? So that was... And again, that's one of your bigger clients. So you definitely want to keep them happy. And even though they already know you, they were still impressed.
Yes.
Right? So that's good. So strengthening your ties with them. Now, one more thing to remember is in clubs, and we spoke about it already, you might have to familiarize Oh my God. Familiarize yourself with a CDJ or turntable setup. So make sure you do that before you take a club gig. A lot of people don't realize that. I don't know how, but they don't have the same setup. And you'll definitely bring two USB like drives, because one might not work, and then that's it. That's your music. That's your set. So make sure you have extra. Bring 3.
Extra always. And of course, you're not just working with turntables, you're working with the mixer as well. So make sure you familiarize yourself. If it's a DJM S11, S9, or the new Pioneer that came out, A9 or something. So there's really, you need to work out that before you actually do the club. So you're not just fiddling around with it during the gig.
And that's this next point. One of the last points here is one of the points which makes it hard for me as a beginner.
No, it's harder for all beginners, actually. All DJs in general.
The next one, like club DJ etiquette.
Oh,
yeah, the next point. Yeah. Okay. Definitely the CDJ setup and everything. I don't have much experience with that yet. Mm-hmm. That's one of the next things I'm going to learn. But knowing, like, differentiating yourself from the headliner, knowing what music to play, what not to play, that's just experience, right? I'm not there yet. You would know what to play, what not to play, right? To be invited again.
You got to play. If you're an opener, you have to know the opening songs, the vibe of the club that you're playing at. So you'd play maybe like B-side songs, which are not as popular, but will get the crowd warmed up, literally, right? And then if you're the headliner, you play just the bangers, all bangers until the closer comes. And then the closer comes, it's almost like the same contrast as the opener. You play the same kind of stuff and slow the night down, sort of thing as well. So you have to play the right time, right music at the right moment, right?
And you also said make sure to have extra music in case you'll have to play longer.
Always, because you never know if you're going to open and you're going to close too. So you have to make sure you just expand on the music that you have. You never know if you're going to play longer or if maybe the headliner is going to be a little bit late. So just be prepared. Always be prepared.
Yeah. And the last point here is make sure you have a crowd to bring with you, your crew, your guests that will always come in and support you. Because one place where I wanted to DJ, I was surprised how easy it was to get a gig there. He said, yeah, sure, just bring people, because he wants them to spend money there, right? But at the same time, it's also great for you because you'll have those 10, 20 people who will really kind of hype it up and make the other people also, and that's support you, everyone else at that venue.
And that's the whole point of DJing in clubs and bars. You want them to book you again. So if in turn bringing a crowd will actually make them money, which is what your job is pretty much, right? So you want to make sure that you're bringing as many people as you can. To help you support you. So it's not an empty club as well, or an empty bar, right? It looks good on you.
Yeah, and logically, I mean, I thought that it would always be great to bring people with me, but it's not something that would be great. It's almost a must.
It is nowadays. It is a must.
It's pretty much a must. Yeah, have at least 5 or 6 or 7 people who will come with you, like at least one booth.
Yeah,
who will be there to support you. Nowadays,
you're not just a DJ; you're a promoter as well.
You are, and prior to the gig, I mean, they'll ask you for your photo and stuff like that, and they'll add you to the flyer, but you'll have to promote it as well. You have to really work with them and show them that it's worth inviting you to play there again, worth booking you again. So I mean, we went through everything.
We covered everything, man.
Yeah, and if we didn't, I mean, more episodes to come. If there's something we forgot, you can let us know. Anything that was a bit vague here on the podcast will be in text form on the website, social media. Thank you very much for joining another episode of The Clever DJ.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
All right.